The risk that an American would develop malignant melanoma during his or her lifetime has increased from 1 in 1,500 in 1935 to 1 in 87 this year, according to New York University dermatologists. Melanoma is just one type of cancer, but is the fastest growing in the world. It is caused by spending too much time in the sun. Melanoma affects all different skin types, from freckled and fair to dark-colored skin. Although African Americans have a protective melanin layer, they can still get melanoma. It is curable, but it is also preventable. Almost 6% of adults under the age of 25 are working on their tan. Over 30,000 people in 1995 were expected to have melanoma, and one-fourth of these people were 39 or younger, according to FDA Consumer. Although melanoma is the fastest and growing and most serious cancer, it is also the least common. There are two other types of skin cancer, basal cell and squamous cell. Basal cell is the most common skin cancer. It shows up mostly on the faces, ears, lips, and around the mouth as a scaly patch or as an open sore. It is 100% curable. Squamous cell shows up as a raised bump on the neck, arms, hand, or legs and has a high cure rate but can be deadly if ignored. The sun is responsible for epidemic. U.S. doctors were expected to diagnose almost 1 million cases of skin cancer last year, according to the United States News and World Report. Most of these cases are under the age of 39. A survey taken in 1995 by the American Academy of Dermatology showed that nearly 6% of adults under 25 want to toast their skin in the UV rays. But the fastest growing group spending time in the sun are young women. For women 25 to 29, melanoma is the most frequent skin cancer and second to breast cancer in women 30 to 34. These same people paid money to get a tan in tanning salons. These salons are very popular, but they're not any safer from the sun rays, FDA Consumer says that FDA Consumer. Tanning beds give off UV radiation just like the sun. UV radiation not only increases the risk of skin cancer, but also causes premature skin aging and skin and eye burns, allergic type reaction, cataracts, reduced immunity, and blood vessel damage. Skin cancer is preventable. One way is to avoid being in the sun for a long period of time or during peak hours. Between 10 and 3 is the most dangerous time to be in the sun because that is when UV rays are strongest. Usually during a local weather report, there is a UV index given which explains how strong the UV rays will be, 0 to 2 being the minimal and 9 to 10 being very high. Sunblocks and sunscreens are another step you can take to prevent skin cancer. SPF of 15 or higher is what most dermatologists suggest, says United States News. The SPF, or sun protective factor, is a multiplier of your skin's exposure time before burning. And SPF 4 means you can stay in the sun 4 times longer than if you had no protection. But if that gives you an hour in the sun, you can't reapply and think you have another hour in the sun. You would have to use a higher SPF next time, says Newsweek. Sunscreens aren't foolproof. They tend to make a person think they are protected, but UV rays don't have to burn you in order for you to get skin cancer. Just exposure to them can cause it, especially if you had skin cancer before. Even the darkest skinned people can get skin cancer. It often appears on their palm soles, or other light areas like a scar. Clothing is another way to protect yourself from the sun. A t-shirt has an SPF of 68 and 45 when wet. The more opaque the material, the less UVAs can get through. Slumber is a line for sun protection. It has an SPF of 30. Sean Hughes is the designer and had melanoma at the age of 26 because he used baby oil to enhance the tan. Hats are helpful as well. Baseball caps cover the face and wide brim hats cover the neck area as well. These are just 3 ways that help to prevent skin cancer. There are also lotions to make your skin look a shade darker without UV radiation. It may seem as if the safest thing is to stay out of the sun, but it does lift our moods. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, affects people who live in the north, like Alaska. It is lack of sunlight and causes depression. It is treated by exposure to high levels of artificial light. So even though we need sunlight, we don't need the UV radiation. Being in the sun is fun and happy, is a fun place to be, but it can also be dangerous. It does make us feel and look good for a short amount of time, but it is not fun later that night when you're in pain with a sunburn, or years later when your skin is deteriorating, or even worse, you have skin cancer. Your life isn't worth a couple of years of sunbathing when all you have to do is take a few precautions.